Hello lovelies, and welcome to today's video. My name's Alya and I'm so glad you stopped by. So today is a really special midweek wrap-up celebrating Pesach, Passover, which is coming up the weekend after this goes up. So today we're going to be creating the 10 plagues of Passover tichels. So 10 tichels representing each of the plagues. The idea came up because during Pesach with children, what we normally do is act out or somehow reenact the plagues. So whether they're finger puppets or whether they're, drawings or sometimes masks, all the different things just to get the kids involved in the story. So today I'm going to be doing tichels to represent each one of the 10 plagues. Hope you love it. 10 plagues was when all the water turned to blood. So I've got this beautiful shimmering, just gorgeous thing here. Completely see-through, as you could tell. So I've got the black one underneath for my base. And what I'm going to do is just repeat the same steps as I did with the black one in just a really classic wrap. I'm going to try and keep this top one as gathered up as I can throughout the process so that it doesn't sort of crease up too much. There we go. Gathering it up. There we go. Lovely. So making it sort of together at the ends means that this material does sort of behave a little bit more in a pretty way just across the side there, because I've just gathered its tails so nicely. So I'm just going to tie it off at the back, make sure that these sides are doing what I want, just like that. And then I'm just going to bring one side up and just kind of try and catch some of these sticking out bits from the side. Just fold it in. There we go. So it's nice and smooth going up, and tucking it just in front of these really pretty bits down the front. Now because it's see-through, I'm just going to smooth it out as much as I can because it'll be very unforgiving. There's a lump there. Okay, and then I'm going to bring the second one over. This time I'm just going to gather it and find that little hole that we just used, the little pocket, and slot it in just like so. Okay, just smoothing it out so that there's no lump. And there we go. This is the first one, just hiding the black from underneath a little bit better. How's that? I love it. I'm not a big fan of red, but this particular shade is really pretty, and because of the black underneath it darkens it even further. So I've got a bit more of a burgundy colour, which is very appropriate. Okay, got a beautiful bright green one because the next one is frogs. Frogs everywhere. Very froggy coloured scarf actually. I probably never realised this about the scarf. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a twist through the sides, maybe like a frog leg. Funny. This is really fun. A lot of Pesach setters I've been to, it's always the most fun when the adults really get into kind of the spirit of things, you know. It really is the Yom Tov, for the festival of freedom. So, you know, the fact that you can relax and tell stories, I mean, it's a very specific story, but tell a story, read out loud at the table, and celebrate freedom, celebrate being a child. You know, we all have one parent at least, you know, upstairs, so it's fun to be able to really unwind, really feel like you have nothing more to do than really just relish in your freedom. How cool is that? So the two twists really create really pretty layers, and it's almost like a little frog's mouth here. I really love this one actually. I might just wear something like this for Yom Tov regardless, but very, very pretty patterns and lovely design with the folds. Do you think this is frog resemblant? It's too much fun, this. The next one we have is lice. Actually, my son's school gave me the idea for this next one because they had some artwork that they created for each of the plagues, and they used confetti and glitter to recreate the lice plague. So I've got my shiniest, most glittery scarf possible, and this one I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm just holding it, or trying to gather it up at the front so that I have a nice kind of nice line around the face, gathering it up to the point where I'm going to cross it over, gathering the whole thing up just like you would a ponytail, and giving it a twist. And then as you untwist it, you should back up into the two original tails there. Okay, then they really sort of tough on them because you don't want them to unwind. Bringing them up. I'm just going to go down to one side, tying them off, and the second tie is going to be half and coming around like that. So you should end up with like a little thing like this. Right? I'm going to use this bit here that we brought up to tuck away the edges so that it's nice and flat. I'm going to bring the longer of the remaining tails up, back around, and into that same spot. Okay. Now, depending on the fabric of your scarf, you may or may not need some pins to hold this down, but this one's got that ruching to it, so it behaves really well. So this is my lice scarf. It sounds terrible, but I think it looks great. What do you think? Yes, I'm being a bit obvious, but the next one is the Wild Animals Plague. So once again, we're folding it down the front to get a really nice shape, same as we did with the lice one. Bringing it around the back and turning it back into two tails. Now, gather anything that's fallen out so that you do have two smooth tails at the back. Now, the fun thing about this scarf is it's got some tigers at the end. So I'm going to try and really highlight that. I'm just going to bring this bit around the front. Okay, so I've got one longer one, one shorter one because of the asymmetry that I've just created. I'm just going to use this remaining bit to twist around and sort of tuck away. So even if I have a few tassels, it's for the most part neat. And then I'm just going to open this one up. There we go, where are we? Okay, bringing it back together with the tassels. Definitely use your tassels, ladies, because it can create just a bit of extra length to your scarf, allowing you to manipulate it a little further. And tucking it away. Tucking these tassels away. There we go, got this beautiful twist to one side. Really nice shape. And let's just see if we got the beautiful tiger head or not. Did you see it there? For those of you who know the 10 plagues and are sort of playing along, you know that the next one is the cattle plague. So I don't have any sort of cattle specific scarves. So I'm going to use this one. Let's pretend that this is a jaundiced animal. That's, you know, when the leopard did change its colour, when it couldn't change its spots type thing. I don't know, we're going with it. So this is the one for cattle plague. So I've just got to fold it in half, which means that on top of my little turban I have underneath, it's not quite covering the back of my head there. There is a gap. So I'm not actually tying it, I'm twisting it. Okay, and I'm going to hold this longer one down. Sorry, I didn't say I'd have them uneven. I'm going to bring this one up. Okay. Get it all nicely to one point. You can use a pin at this point if you want. I'm not going to because it's too hard to get them out with one hand. I'm just going to bring up this second one nice and wide so that it can comfortably hold down the froof that we did at the top, and then into itself at the back. There should definitely be a gap there that was created by folding it around, so it'll go really comfortably back into itself. Alright, so this is my sick animals, let's call it, scarf. I actually really love this scarf. It's probably one of my favorites. Probably two reasons. One, the color is crazy beautiful with the gold detail. But the other thing is because it was purchased at a central station in Jerusalem. when I was trying to catch a bus to the Dead Sea, and all the buses were cancelled because of landslide and rain and all that sort of thing. And so I went for some retail therapy instead, and this was the result. And it's just so pretty, and it's a really great one for warmer weather because it's just very breathable. So yeah, love it. And why not? Why not when you're having such a beautiful festival to celebrate? So much thanks in Passover, so much to be grateful for. And yeah, I'm definitely grateful for that trip that I was able to take back when the world was, you know, one where people took trips, and able to be at the right place at the right time to have this beautiful thing in my life. So so the next two are boils and hail. Now the only real thing that you would do different is perhaps boils are red spots and hail is white spots. So I'm just going to go with an old favorite one here as well. Just create a nice front there because it doesn't have the nicest hem. There we go. Bring the back to the front. These ones are even, and just folding it up, but folding it up in such a way that you can actually see that fringe. So I'm just going to have to play with it a little bit afterwards, I think, because it doesn't want to behave. Quite ironic considering we're talking about boils and hail that really behaves. Now because I have quite a bit of volume on today, that did not behave at all. I was about to say, because of the volume underneath, it's quite a short scarf anyway, plus it doesn't really cover much anyway, and then you've also got this volume. So I've tied it off at the back. It's come out a little bit uneven because of the way I was folding it over. If you want to have a bit more control with the fold over, I would say fold it first to the size of your head. That way you don't have so much unpredictability when you're crossing over the fabric. That's okay. I'm going to take the bigger one of the two, give it a bit of a twist till the very end. And I'm just going to bring it exactly along the line of this, going in the opposite direction, or going over the opposite direction fold, and tuck in my tassels. I can leave them out too, that would be pretty. Okay, and then you have a little tail there, or as a variation, you can actually give it a twist too, and as far as it'll take you, go back under the first twisted tail in here and tuck it in. It's just another option. Now I've got this neon green scarf to do locusts. Yes, it has Louis Vuitton on it, but I'm just going to utilize this underneath turban. You can do any kind of underneath scarf you like for this one, as long as it doesn't have any tails, and even if it does, you could probably make it work. And all I'm going to do is like a headband like this and tie it off. If your scarf is big enough or opaque enough, you can actually bring it up and tuck it in there and create a scarf like this, but I'm actually just going to do this kind of a look. And the inspiration for that is that locusts ate all the crops, so we've got to leave a gap to show that the locusts have been passed. We had the darkness come next, so constant night, constant pitch blackness, and then we had the very last plague, the plague that actually finally led us to cross the river and off to wander in the desert for 40 years until we received the Torah at the most humble mountain of them all, Mount Sinai, and off to the promised land. So, but before that, a tragedy, of course, and that is why we call the Yom Tov for the festival Passover, because the angel of death was sent to take the firstborn son all across the land of Egypt, except for passed over the houses that belonged to those who believed that freedom is near. So I'm going to put a nice dark scarf for this last one, for the saddest and most tragic plague of them all. So twist out the front, and I'm just going to flip it over. I'm not going to gather it too much at the back, just enough to sort of keep it neat. Okay. Bring this one nice and wide around. I'm just sort of placing all those tassels underneath it as it comes around. And then when we get back to the front, this is the tricky bit because I've got to go underneath this one, but not underneath the black one. Okay, I'm just going to fix the black one now. Where are you? I think it slipped after having so many different tichels go on top of it. Just got a few little threads there. Okay, and this is the last tichel. Now, obviously, we're not celebrating plagues here. We're celebrating what they led to, and that was freedom from hundreds of years of slavery, to the point where it is said that if we were to stay even a year longer, there would be no chance to continue as free people. So there we are. And let's hope that, modern events have the same lesson upon us. We learn that all the difficulties and all the tragedies and all the challenges in life, they lead to future freedoms. They lead to future gifts and lessons and knowledge, and even the hardest and most depressing things that can happen to us will one day give us some kind of happiness, some kind of celebration, some kind of appreciation, some kind of spark of something divine and good. Okay, my lovelies, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I hope that you have a beautiful, whether it be Easter or Passover or whatever you're celebrating this time of year. It is a very special time of year, and it really is a time where we can really choose our freedoms. I think I've spoken about this before, but I'm a huge believer this is a good time to give up a habit or to take on a hobby or just to gather with loved ones, whether it be via Zoom or email or whatever it is, but really reach out to the people you love, because it is a time where we can really appreciate the things that are dear to us. For more things from everyday life, please head over to Instagram. There's definitely posts going up there. If you haven't signed up, go ahead, press the red button, make sure it is grey so that you can be a part of this creative little channel. I will not be uploading next week, in fact for the next 2 Sundays, because it will be Yom Tov and we won't be able to do any kind of filming or editing during that time. So hopefully you'll be still around and here to watch when I come back. Switch on the bell if you want to be notified for when that happens, but it should be just only in a few short weeks' time. Comment below and like if you did indeed like this video, and I will see you on the next one real soon. Bye!